Yeah, Bri, everything will be pretty much the same as the last game. 6:45 live time. We'll need the watermark, and then that should be pretty much it. Yeah, I think we're pretty much ready to go. So. All right, well, that sounds good then. Yeah, I'll just leave it connected to you because there's no point to disconnect it for like 10 minutes and send it back. So, all right.
track. Yo, I once was a kid, all I had was a dream. More money, more problems. When I get it, I'm a pound it out. Now I'm dope on the bread, we can toast so fresh. How we flow, everybody get this down. Yo, I once was a kid with the other little kids. Now I'm ripping up shows and the fans going wild with us. Tell mommy I'm sorry, this life is a party. I'm never growing up. Can I please get a little bit of knowledge? Somebody tell Rolf that I don't love college. Cause the real world's kinda like real world. And it's drama, so you are Svetlana and I'm just a rhymer. Swimming in the water trying to dodge the piranha and fly to Bahamas. Pretty little mama, chitty in the spot where you at, Berlin. Show me what you got. They say why you rapping for the kids for? I say my clothes come fitted, the lid store. This summer you can catch me on the big tour. I'm high grade, I think they need to quiz more. And let me get with you, don't let the kid hit you. I'm the photo album Valletta has, big picture. The rule is, the dude is so up, so chuck. I'm a cool kid. Yo, I once was a kid, all I had was a dream. More money, more problems. When I get it, I'm a pound it out. Now I'm dope on the bread, we can toast so fresh. How we flow, everybody get this down. Yo, I once was a kid with the other little kids. Now I'm ripping up shows and the fans going wild with us. Tell mommy I'm sorry, this life is a party. I'm never growing up. Was a kid, all I had was a dream. More money, more problems. When I get it, I'm a pound it out. Now I'm dope on the bread, we can toast so fresh. How we flow, everybody get this down. Yo, I once was a kid with the other little kids. Now I'm ripping up shows and the fans going wild with us. Tell mommy I'm sorry, this life is a party. I'm never growing up. count me in. There's a story at the bottom of this bottle, and I'm the pen. When the lights go off, I wanna watch the way you take the stage by storm. The way you wrap those boys around your finger. Go on and play the leader, 'cause you know it's what
A chance to play for the conference championship on Saturday looms here in Lexington as Hampden-Sydney and Washington and Lee collide in the 2025 ODAC men's soccer semifinals here on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. These two teams played to a 1-1 draw in the regular season back on October 1st, and they square off again here in the semifinals at Watt Field. As the Tigers of Hampden-Sydney look to punch their ticket through to the conference championship game for the first time since 2010, while the defending champs look to play for a chance to repeat as conference champs on Saturday in Washington and Lee. We say hello and welcome to Alston Parker Watt Field here on the campus of Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia. Thanks so much for joining us on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Alongside Shane Riley, I'm Ryan Connell. And Shane, we have a great matchup on store today. Number 23, Hampden-Sydney in the national polls, third in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference in the regular season at 13-2-2. We'll play 10-3-5 Washington and Lee for the second time this season. And when they met the first time, we were treated to a thrilling 1-1 draw.
Yeah, and just as you said, if this game is anything like that October 1st matchup between Hampden-Sydney and Washington and Lee, then we're really in for some special soccer action out there. And if we get into a quick recap of that last game, a lot of action we saw, especially just late in that first half. Hampden-Sydney able to kind of find a questionable goal there if you look at the Washington Elite defense, but a goal nonetheless. Got themselves up 1-0 on the scoreboard. Taking a look at that, that ball just kind of snuck through the Generals' defense. They didn't really have any clue where that ball was, and Hampden-Sydney will gladly take goals like that, of course, at any moment. Into the 50th minute now. A really big play in this one as well. Sanchez goes up with the ball, just takes a really big tackle right into his leg. The center official not wasting any time pulling out the red card there. One of the biggest plays in that one. That card was awarded against Tyler Petts for Hampden-Sydney. And then going to the Generals' goal late in that contest. Coming off this corner here, you can see Jenkins gets right up on the ball. Hampden-Sydney struggling to clear that, and that was what the end of the highlights of that game. And that game ended, as we talked about, at that 1-1 draw. Really nothing to separate those two teams other than perhaps that red card, and that one's still just the draw, though. So we'll be in for a great game today if those teams can channel that energy into this one.
So Washington and Lee and Hampden-Sydney march their way out onto the field, and it's time to meet the starting lineups today, and we will start with the visitors of Hampden-Sydney. It starts in goal with a freshman from Richmond, Virginia, who's played every minute in goal this season for Hampden-Sydney. That's Stig Larson. He has a 0.76 goals against average and a save percentage of exactly 75%. He's made at least 3 saves in 8 of his last 9 games, and he draws the start in goal tonight for Hampden-Sydney. He's joined by a junior defender, number 2, Mauricio Jimenez, a senior midfielder, number 5, Victor Ovole-Mares, a senior midfielder, number 8, Mason Dudley, a sophomore midfielder, number 11, Kevin Nova Iuseda, a junior midfielder, number 14, Tyler Petts, a freshman defender, number 15, Owen Edwards, a sophomore defender, number 21, Colin Hallman, a sophomore midfielder, number 25, Zachy Johnston, a sophomore midfielder, number 27, Colin Mason, and a senior forward, number 31, Walker Stebbings. Head coach Tommy Denuzzo in his 9th season in charge of Hampden-Sydney, trying to take the Tigers to the conference championship game for just the 3rd time ever and the first since 2010. When they won in 2010, that was their last win against Washington Elite, and they beat them in the ODAC semifinals here at Watt Field by a 2-1 final. Andrew Berg was the hero in that one in the 86th minute with the game-winning goal. Hampden-Sydney trying to find some of that magic again tonight as they have lost or have not won against Washington Lee in 15 straight meetings. The Generals have gone 15 straight games without a loss in this all-time series. On the other side for Washington Lee, it starts in goal with the senior captain, Will Joseph, coming off another shutout on Saturday, in which the Generals won 1-0 against Randolph, making his 31st career shutout, the most in WNL program history. He has a goals against average under a half a goal a game this season, has stopped 87% of shots. He's joined by a junior defender, number 2, Nick Apostolou, a junior midfielder and captain, number 10, Matthew Jenkins, a senior forward, number 11, Buster Kuig, a senior midfielder and captain, number 12, Willie Hall, a junior defender, number 15, Spencer Furman, a first-year midfielder and the hero for the Generals on Saturday, number 16, Sammy Seifa, a junior defender, number 17, Anthony Correcchia, a sophomore midfielder, number 21, Ricardo Sanchez, a first-year defender, number 24, Caden Zion, and rounding out the starting 11 for the Generals is a junior midfielder, number 31, Taha Kaba. Head coach Lamoma Shabazz, in his 2nd season with Washington Lee, led them to an ODAC championship last year in his 1st season, trying to take the Generals back to the conference title game for a 4th straight season as the Generals look for their 3rd conference championship in 4 years, and they will have to get past the ranked Tigers of Hampden-Sydney tonight to do so as the Generals continue to get introduced here tonight. And Shane, as we look at this matchup, obviously it was so close in the regular season. It's been close the last couple of times these two squads have gotten together. What is going to be the difference first for Hampden-Sydney if they want to advance to the conference championship, and then next for Washington and Lee? How do they get through to the conference championship as well?
Well, Hampden-Sydney coming off a little bit of momentum from their last matchup. Obviously, they won that game, moving to the next round here today at Washington and Lee, but a 4-1 victory against Randolph. So that their hot streak on offense continued in that game, and obviously their record this season shows what this team is. They're strong, they're formidable, and they're going to be a really big test today for the Generals. Obviously, this is the third time that they've been ranked in their history, so this is one of the best Hampden-Sydney squads that we've seen, and they're going to put that out on display today. And then for Washington and Lee on the other side of the ball, it's really going to be sticking what they've done the last, pretty much just into conference play. Their only loss in conference play coming against the top squad in Lynchburg. So they've been really solid in conference play. It's going to be about maintaining their composure, getting going early, trying to get into their offense, get into some of their sets. Hampden-Sydney, we know, can come out firing at any moment. So both of these teams are going to have to be ready to be physical, ready to get after each other, but also maintain that composure. A red card like we saw in that last matchup could prove pivotal, especially in a game like this if the game goes to overtime or something like that. Especially because it's postseason play, it's so pivotal that you have everybody out there on the field. So we'll see how that carries on in this game.
One last second change for the Generals in the starting lineup. It's actually Drac Travis in and Ricardo Sanchez out. So Travis draws his fourth start of the season, and he slides into the lineup in replace of Sanchez. Sanchez still dressed and going through warm-ups, but just one last tactical move for Coach Shabazz and his squad by going with Travis to start here for Washington and Lee.
And Travis a little bit more of a defensive-minded midfielder, so you got to think maybe Coach Shabazz not wanting to, maybe play a little bit back to start this game, not necessarily push as far forward. Of course, the Generals always very strong on offense, but maybe just take a little bit more of a slower approach, trying to settle into it. Travis, very good on the ball, very good control player, also does a really good job, as I said, in that defensive midfield role. So we'll see how they come out. Maybe with Sanchez, they would have been pushing it a little bit more. Maybe Coach Shabazz, last-minute change, thinking he wants to change it up just a little bit.
So Seifa into the starting lineup today. Wasn't in the starting lineup on Saturday. Same too with Jack Travis. Anthony Correcchia makes his second straight start for the Generals since returning from injury. He started the first 6 games for Washington Lee, missed about a month and a half for the Generals, came back, played 2 games, and then now in the starting lineup for each of the 2 postseason games at center back for Washington and Lee.
And that's a big, that's huge for Washington and Lee, really. The junior defender, he works so well alongside his partner in Spencer Furman. And Isaac Arrowwood, Chris Ordway, they had kind of stepped in Correcchia's absence, and they've done a really good job filling his role. But Correcchia, just his experience out there, will prove vital, especially in games like this.
Washington and Lee in the home white uniforms with blue numbers and letters. Generals on the back of their chests will go left to right. Hampden-Sydney in the visiting black uniforms with white numbers and letters. It will go right to left here in the first 45. Great night for an ODAC semifinal. A spot in Saturday's championship game on the line tonight in Lexington as we're underway at Watt Field.
As you're saying, Ryan, it's absolutely beautiful out there for November 5th. Sitting right around 60 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. You got the moon shining up on the left side of your screen. Might see it at some point in this game. Just an absolutely beautiful night for some semifinal ODAC action.
A throw in here for Washington and Lee, and Nick Apostolou at left back. Generals only able to find 1 goal on Saturday in the quarterfinals against Randolph-Macon. That was Sammy Seifa in the 86th minute for Washington and Lee. Hampden-Sydney on the other side of things. They cruised to a 4-1 win over Randolph in the quarterfinal they hosted at home. 3 goals in the first 48 minutes for the Tigers. And that 1 late insurance goal in the 83rd.
And maybe that Sammy Seifa goal earning him a spot in this starting lineup today. We've seen that sort of left wing position / midfield, left midfield position switch a little bit for the Generals this season. And, oftentimes that's probably based on how the player's currently playing. And obviously Coach Shabazz sees Seifa as the best option there today.
Certainly at times on Saturday looked like one of the top players on the field for Washington and Lee, and ultimately was rewarded with it by scoring the lone goal in that game. For Hampden-Sydney, it was Some nice complimentary scoring by the Tigers. So Volley Mars had the first, Splainer the second, Mason the third, and Owen Edwards capped things off. So 4 different goal scorers in a 4-1 triumph for HSC. Larson gets it over for Tyler Petts, where Colin Mason can try and settle, and I'll earn Washington and Lee a throw. It's one of the things with Hampden-Sydney and their first-year keeper, and Larson, he is one of the most active goalkeepers in terms of coming out, playing the ball, and that was a noticeable thing when these two teams met last month here at Watfield, is how much he stepped in and served as a fifth member of the back line with playing the ball with his feet.
That can always be a risky decision by the keeper coming out, especially with some of the speed, really any team has out there with their forwards. But, obviously for Larson, it really has proved to be a great strategy for him and the Tigers this season. As we talked about earlier, just the .76 goals allowed per contest. Doesn't get much better than that. So obviously what he's doing back there in net has worked great for this Hampden-Sydney squad.
Free kick for Washington and Lee at the outstretched end of the Hampden-Sydney bench. Willie Hall going to curl it in with the left foot. And headed back out by the back line. Aiden Zion here for Willie Hall. Jack Travis trying to hit the through ball for Seifa, and that one settled down by Jimenez and the back line. A very loud and engaged crowd at Watfield here today.
Yeah, the energy is going to be huge all throughout this one. The crowd can generate. Obviously, you got fans from both sides here. It's going to be interesting to see how maybe that factors into this game. Hampden-Sydney, though, on that last possession, really good pressure off that WNL free kick, and did a good job not really allowing the Generals to feel comfortable.
Jenkins taken down from behind. That gives Washington and Lee a free kick right at midfield, and Jenkins a little slow to get back to his feet.
And Coach Tommy Denuzzo already appealing with the referee. I'm not fully sure what he's upset about there. It's clearly a foul, perhaps a previous play or something, but you're going to be a lot of jawing back and forth between these coaches and the referees.
So it'll be a free kick right at midfield. Spencer Furman will play it short for Willie Hall. Apostolou. Back for Correcchia. Into space for Seifa, who can track it down. And I'll say it rolled out of play on that far side for a throw-in.
Seifa just a step behind that one. He had a lot of green grass in front of him, so fortunate there. The Tigers didn't give up anything there. Seifa had a lot of space to try to get a cross off, just couldn't quite get that touch to keep it in play. And it's noticeable right now, the Tigers struggling to maintain possession.
Washington Lee has been aggressive with its control of the ball early on. And for Hampden-Sydney this season, it's been a relatively balanced offensive attack. They have 5 different players with at least 10 points this season. And you have to think that just getting one of those 5 to rise to the occasion tonight, that might be all it takes. Walker Stebbings and Pierce Splainer each tied with a team best 12 points, and Stebbings as well as Mason Dudley tied for the team best with 5 goals this year. Buster Kuig leads the way with 7 goals this season for Washington and Lee.
Speaking of Kuig, there he is on the ball there looking for Seifa.
Aiden Zion able to feed Matthew Jenkins. And a nice step from Jimenez to get his body in front. And that'll be, we'll see if it's a corner or throw-in.
And that ball took a pretty wicked bounce there. Had a lot of spin. I'm not sure if it bounced out of play. Looked like it went out for a corner, but it looks like Kuig's going over there. It will be a throw. That ball Some crazy spin, but as you said, a really good play there. Jimenez, big block, not allowing that cross to get in from Jenkins.
So Buster Kuig lines up the long throw. Into the area, flicked on and over the bar. Ahead of Spencer Furman on the receiving end.
And all things considered, a pretty solid offensive chance there for Washington and Lee. That one, had it been on net, would have been really tough for Larson. That one falling from the sky can be tough to time that jump, but really no need to make the save there. That one goes over the bar.
Pets looking for Voley Mares in the midfield. Zion will have the throw in at midfield for the Generals. Skied into the middle of the field. All first there with his head. Nobody able to corral it cleanly until it comes to the feet of Zachy Johnston.
That one looked like it might have hit both a WNL and Tigers player in the hand there, so referee probably just not making the call simply because of that. You're standing right there, so he obviously saw it.
Correcchia looking for the long ball for Zion. Zion gonna tap it too far in front.
Still a really solid idea there from Zion. Had he been able to have a little bit of a lighter touch, that would have been pretty much free real estate to get across it in there. The Generals really probing here on offense. Hampden-Sydney still yet to settle into this one.
Go short to Larson, the keeper, and he'll just clear it deep. Pressure-filled first 10 minutes from the blue and white. Seifa as it come to Jenkins. Still at his feet. Jenkins, extra effort. Kuig can't settle. Zion for Kuig into the back of the net, but offside.
And on that first one, it looked like Kuig wasn't expecting that cross. He had a weird touch on it, but then he was fortunate enough to get the ball right back to him, but just I don't even know how far offside, but just a hair offside, maybe a little bit more than that.
He definitely timed his run a bit early. When the ball was in the air, he had a clear couple steps on the defender, and you don't put yourself in that position unless you perhaps had a little bit of a head start. But that's just showing the buildup of play that the Generals have gotten here in the first 10 minutes, and although it doesn't count, that is at least a good sign of things to come.
Yeah, still seeing the ball go into the back of the net. Obviously, of course, not counting on the scoreboard as you just said, but it's good to see that happen. It's good to see that your hard work pays off. If Kuig just timed his run just a tad bit better, that would have been a goal. So Generals have got to feel good. Hampden-Sydney really need to settle into this game quickly, though. They've really not had any possession at all.
Get a throw in on the far side with the Tigers. Washington and Lee came out buzzing here in the first 10. Hampden-Sydney trying to settle in.
Yeah, from Hampden-Sydney here, I keep looking forward on these throws. That's pretty much where the entirety of the Generals team is sitting, and just getting a lot of pressure on them. Just try to string together some passes here, even if it's just on your back line.
This one for the attempted head of Colin Mason, out for a Washington and Lee goal kick.
That's exactly what I'm talking about there. They just cross it in. There's really nothing to look for, and the confidence isn't really being built out there because you're not stringing together anything, and just doesn't feel good right now if you're Hampden-Sydney because you just haven't had the ball.
Kaba applying pressure. Kuig almost able to get some deflection on that clearance from Larson. Zion for the high ball over. Larson off his line.
Yeah, and you could see that time Larson was almost waiting right up at the top of the 18-yard box, and just really intelligent play there from Larson.
What a challenge from Willie Hall. Tactical. And a foul right at midfield will give the free kick to the Tigers. And we're not going to see too many challenges quite like that one.
Yeah, just perfectly timed there from Willie Hall. Right behind. Can't see who that is for. I believe that's Pets for Hampden-Sydney, and just perfectly timed. Those tackles can be so hard. I mean, if he hadn't executed that well, that could be a yellow depending on where he makes the contact. But Willie Hall, beautiful tackle there. Unfortunately, though, he concedes the foul here right at midfield.
A goal kick coming for Washington and Lee. Well, Joseph looking over what to do. Kaba for Seifa. Seifa in the 18, and Sammy Seifa, too much.
And once again, the excellent build-up play on display there. A couple of fortunate deflections, though, but Seifa, a really nice step through right past the feet of Jimenez. That one just not really hit well on the cross. Or that goes down as a shot, the shot.
So goal kick coming here for Stig Larsson and Hampden-Sydney. And if Shane, put yourself in the shoes of Coach Denuzzo, what do you have to keep saying to your guys to get them to try and settle in?
Well, they haven't looked for the easy pass. They've been kind of looking for the home run. I mean, even going back to their free kick in the middle of the field, that ball was just booted well past anybody on their squad. So like I said earlier, like they have the ball here. Just string together a few passes. Don't have to force anything. It's not like that kind of ball. That ball is just not, and maybe they'll get it here, but it's just not an effective way to build any kind of offense, especially when that one goes off a car, really haven't strung anything together.
That's what happens when you park close to the field, Shane. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, hit the top. Should be all right. No, should be no dents in there.
A long throw-in chance here for Hampden-Sydney as they can finally press forward. Johnston fires one. Flicked in. And Avole Mares sends it into the night sky.
And that's another thing, too. If you haven't really had the ball at your feet too much, you don't really know how it feels. Obviously, you warm up. But once you get out there in the game, the nerves, everything's so much different. And you can see there, there's Avole Mares. He just skies that one. Was the best look for Hampden-Sydney of the day, but it's still going to be a long way before they really get their feel in this one.
Seifa trying to feed Kuig, and he's offside again.
Yeah, and Kuig knew it that time as well. He didn't really make any sort of run after that one. Just, once again, just slightly mistimed. But the Generals, as we talked about, really dominant start so far, and these first 15 minutes have got to have Coach Shabazz feeling really good.
For as dominant it has been, the score remains 0-0 as we've played 15 minutes here in the first half for the ODAC semifinals between Washington and Lee and Hampden-Sydney.
And one thing I'd like to see from Hampden-Sydney, too, is they have... Kaba makes a really big collision there. A little questionable decision-making there. But Hampden-Sydney, they just haven't... really don't... Like the Generals, they're starting in the back. They're working their way up. They're being slow. They're being methodical. Hampden-Sydney just... And they don't seem to be getting enough pressure, perhaps, on the Generals when they're working it up from the back. They can start to do that a little bit as well. They might see a little bit more of a clear way forward. Pet's trying to urge his team to move up the field, though.
Swing it forward with the left foot. Seifa. Back for Zion, and at least Johnston hustles to make Washington and Lee throw it back in.
And the longer Hampden-Sydney can keep the ball out of their own half as well, the more that they'll start to settle in a little bit better too.
Nova EU Seda able to switch the fields. Jenkins battling for possession. All able to spin it around. The Generals will use the space on the other side of the field. Carreccia up here for Apostolou. Couldn't get much behind that one. It was last off a Tiger and out for the first corner of the night.
Yeah, that one looked like Apostolou was perhaps trying to win that corner there. Didn't really have anybody making any runs or anything that would have been any threat to Hampden-Sydney. So good idea. They're just knocking it off a defender.
A chance for the Generals on the first corner kick of the night. Taha Kaba there to take it for Washington and Lee. Headed back out by the Tigers. Apostolou. And Larson slides over to grab it.
Given his leverage on that kick, that was a really solid effort there from Apostolou. Not really any trouble for Larson, but still quite a nice shot.
He had to think for how much it was bouncing and for all the spin on it to put a controlled effort on that try from Nick Apostolou. Well worthy of some credit. Good footwork from Johnston to get past one defender, not the second. And that'll earn a throw-in for the Generals.
Yeah, as you said, beautiful footwork there from Johnston, but the Generals, really nice job of collapsing in on him there. Making it easy right now is the blue and white.
This ball makes its way back to Anthony Carreccia and Washington and Lee. Apostolou draws another throw-in.
Yeah, he lost control of the ball there, and then it looked like Dudley also lost control, so fortunate there for the Generals they didn't lose possession.
Travis. Flip it wide. And Zion, there's too much gas on that. They'll stay for a throw-in, though. Hampden-Sydney will have it deep in their own end. Tyler Petts. Throw it in here for the Tigers. And Travis spilling through, commits the foul.
Yeah, Travis a little upset with that one, but a little too physical there. He did get his head on the ball, was playing the ball, but just ran right through. Looks like that was Nova Iuseda.
Sometimes you could play the ball, but if you got to run through the defender to get there, it's still a foul. Now, I know people don't like to hear that sometimes, but because I played the ball, but you still ran through somebody to get there. 20 minutes gone here in the first half. Scoreless between Hampden-Sydney and Washington and Lee. Ryan Connell, Shane Riley with you on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Chance for Hampden-Sydney to rush forward, and Petts dumps it into no man's land.
Yeah, Petts received a nice ball there and had a lot of green grass. Could have kept it at his feet, too. Didn't really need to punt that one in, but Will Joseph will gladly take that one for Washington and Lee.
Hampden-Sydney has weathered the charge the Generals have put forward in the first 15 or so minutes. They've helped to try and level things off here in the last 5 minutes or so as they've settled into this game. If you're just joining us at this point in the first half, Washington and Lee had consistent pressure for the first 10 to 15 minutes in the Hampden-Sydney end. A few chances for the Generals. Still no shots on goal, but a couple of real dangerous opportunities that were a touch or two away from spelling the first goal of the game. Washington and Lee, if you want to get it, technically scored a goal that was offside, but everybody knew it was offsides before the goal even found its way into the back of the net.
Yeah, everybody besides maybe the W&O fans, they all got up and celebrated, but of course, still nothing on the scoreboard.
So, Willie Hall Just playing one back for the Tigers, trying to catch Larson out of the net, and we'll draw a goal kick for Hampden-Sydney. Connell has had the only corner kick in today's game as well. For the Tigers, their defense has been adequately tested. Ole Mares. And a foot race. And well, Joseph clears it into the stands.
And what started that play was a really interesting touch from Stebbings, kind of off his back heel. Really nice control, and he got it over to Mares, and now they'll win this throw here.
And balls around as it comes to the far side. Dudley trying to cut it more central. Travis tries to outlet it the other way. Kuig with some numbers. Safa trying to flick it back to him. And Hampden-Sydney cleared it into each other. Travis. Pinball for Jenkins. Zion on the outside. This one on the feet of Jenkins. Zion, too high. We're all the way out for a goal kick. It's more and more pressure. Continues to build for Washington offensively.
And it seems right now that the Generals are really getting all the favorable bounces that they could ask for. Quite a few deflections on that buildup, but no loss of possession until, of course, that skied cross. If you're Hampden-Sydney right now, just unlucky with a few of those bounces.
The Tigers drawing a couple substitutes, ready to talk to the assistant coaches to get them ready to come into this game, and perhaps maybe that a change is what Hampden-Sydney needs. Herman holds his ground against Stebbings. Some entanglement that then gives it to Hampden-Sydney at midfield, and certainly hit Jenkins in the hand at some point, but they just kept on playing it through.
It looks like that's where the ref's going to call it back to.
Pets got some numbers in the box. Gonna sweep it in with the left. Allman falling to the ground, has it cleared away. And that's Nova Iuseda from distance.
And a lot of time with those kind of shots, you're hoping for some type of deflection to make it tough on the keeper there, but that one right into the arms of Joseph.
Edwards. A bouncing ball back to Larson, who just clears it ahead. Not really giving much there for the Tigers forward. 3 substitutes waiting for Hampden-Sydney to check in. This one into space for Zachy Johnston. Johnston through Furman's legs, and Correcchia there to clear it away. Crafty move from Zachy Johnston. Earns Hampden-Sydney their first corner of the night.
Yeah, Furman with the wide stance there, and Johnston just taking advantage of that. Fortunately, Correcchia gets back and makes a strong clearance, but Hampden-Sydney, we can feel it now. They're here to play.
Ovole Mares on the corner. They'll go short for Pets. That ball never makes its way all the way in. Safa wins it back. And that's going to draw a card against the Volley Mares. That's a tactical yellow. One you got to live with because it prevents a large counter the other way, potentially 2-on-1.
Yeah, we know Seifa's speed. He can get out like a flash. And he's also quite a physical player there. You also saw that just getting right on a Volley Mares there. And as you said, really no option but to hold him back.
Furman ready with the free kick for the Generals, and just play it back into his center back mate in Correcchia. Correcchia looking for Zion. Pet's going to try and shield him out. Keeps it in. The ball ends up with Jenkins, but he takes a dive.
Yeah, a lot of pushing and shoving going on now. You got to think a whistle, as you see there, coming soon.
I got to say, Jenkins has the right to be frustrated, but he sold that call quite a bit. He made no effort to play the ball and made all effort to dive on the ground. So you could be upset all you want, but you got to at least make an effort to try and settle the ball at your feet.
Cabo just picked that one up and chucked it into the Hampden-Sydney half, so quickly temper's starting to flare now.
You knew this was going to be a physical game. You knew there was going to be some high emotion at points, and it has come now to where the foul is right at the midfield stripe. There's a crowd of people waiting to check into this game, standing at the table. They will have to wait for now.
Yeah, Hampden-Sydney about to do a whole platoon swap. Got to get the whole bench coming into the game. But as you said, this one really starting to ramp up physically as Hampden-Sydney has finally arrived in this one and channeling a lot of the energy that we saw between Hampden-Sydney and Washington and Lee about a month ago.
Pets high ball in, headed away by Washington and Lee, and a foul against the Tigers. The substitutions are still forced to wait.
Yeah, we've had a lot of stoppages, but no balls going out of play. Just too many fouls and pretty much just fouls.
Seifa trying to track it down. Still in play. Off his feet it goes. Travis back to Seifa. Volley Mares tumbles to the ground and had to learn a foul against Washington and Lee.
Coach Abaz now getting a little bit frustrated over here on the sidelines, talking to the officials on the near side. Fouls really starting to ramp up in the last couple of minutes. And, of course, frustrations for both coaches.
This one will go to the back line with Mauricio Jimenez. Make its way back for Stig Larson. Larson as well to spell it deep.
I know if you're a Tigers fan, Larson holding the ball out there for so long has got to be a little bit nerve-wracking, but as we talked about earlier, that's his specialty. That's what he does, and as we said, clearly it has worked for the Tigers this season. And in this game so far as well, he's made a couple of nice plays coming out of his box.
Under 15 minutes to play here in the first half. No score between Hampden-Sydney and Washington and Lee. The stop and go from Caden Zion. In the box. Jenkins has it knocked off his feet. Correcchia and re-attack it for the Generals. 6 Tigers waiting at the table, 1 General.
And as I said before they get into the game, they might bring a whole new squad out there.
Now they will have their opportunity. Ricardo Sanchez will be the lone general checking in. 6 Hampden-Sydney Tigers. Here's Blainer, Mo Wampini, as well as Michael Farmer, Caden Sawyer, Jackson Robbins, and perhaps one other change. Jack Delaney, it looks like, number 16. I think we got them all, Shane.
A whole slew of players coming in for Hampden-Sydney, but obviously after such physical play in that first half, a lot of their players going to need some fresh legs. The Generals opting with a different approach here, going to just do the one substitution.
Washington and Lee will play back to Will Joseph, and Joseph skies it out to center. Another ball that drifts high into the night sky and out for a Hampden-Sydney throw.
Yeah, not only do we have a lot of fans here in the stands, but a nice crowd over there on the far side wall as well, coming to support whichever team that they're rooting for. You just got to love to see all the support that these players get out there, and certainly they've been entertained through the first 33 minutes or so.
For a scoreless game that has one total shot on goal, there's certainly been plenty of action to this point. Jack Travis thought he made a clean enough tackle to come away with all ball, and instead the Tigers player landed nearly right on top of him to draw a whistle.
Yeah, from the referee's perspective, of course, you don't want to let this game get out of hand, especially with how physical it's gotten. But at the same time, it's important to know when to swallow that whistle. And not to say maybe that was the opportunity there where he didn't need to call it. But frustration from both sides, a little bit warranted sometimes in some of these foul calls. But it can be so tough as an official whether or not you call one, call the other. You got to call it the same way. And even the smallest bit of contact, it seems that we're going to get a call here tonight.
Joseph off his line to dive on a loose ball in the 18. Well, Joseph will urge his team to push forward. Flicked on there by Kuig to the foot of Sanchez, and Larson holds it right above his head.
And I like that shot from Sanchez taking it early. He had both those defenders draped right on him, so it would have been really tough to get past them, but just not enough. Larson in the perfect spot there, knowing how far to come out.
Trying to settle this one, and able to do so. On the far side of the field are the Tigers. Pets will have real estate on the near side. Few Generals players miss at the tackle. To the back post and cleared out by Apostolou. Off a Tigers player and for a Generals throw.
And Pat showed us a little bit what he's made of there. Making a few Generals miss. First Jenkins and then a couple of the backline players, but nothing coming off of it.
That's team high 9 assists this season for Hampden-Sydney, so certainly a playmaker out of that left back position to create scoring opportunities for the Tigers. Kaba comes away out of the pile with it. Now Sanchez trying to feed it through. Kaba again. The lofted ball for Jenkins. Sanchez trying to get it to Kaba, and he was surrounded. Miscommunication from the Tigers. And that one still loose. Hampden-Sydney going to try and spring the other way. Lumpini. Room here to operate for Owen Edwards. Running through some space. Comes to the feet of Petts. That shot blocked as it stays under Hall's body.
Yeah, Hampden-Sydney were looking for a call there, but Hall not trying to stay on top of that one, so good for the official there to swallow his whistle, but Hall will come out and commit the foul.
So the next one draws Hampden-Sydney a free kick. Under 8 minutes to go in the first half, and a prime opportunity for the Tigers.
Yeah, after that hot start in the first 15 minutes or so, slowly momentum has been moving the way of the Tigers here.
That is eerily similar to the last game as well, and it was Hampden-Sydney in the final 5 minutes of the first half that squeaked in what was an awkward-looking goal, but it found its way in. For as well as Washington and Lee had played in the first 45 in that game, they were trailing at the halftime break. Petts as it cleared away. Zion can't keep it in, so it goes out for a Hampden-Sydney corner. Second opportunity for the Tigers on a corner kick here in the first half. To the back post, punched away. Second ball, loose and over.
Yeah, that one through the legs of a couple of generals there, and as you talked about, eerily similar to that goal we saw from the last one. That ball just kind of bouncing around, nobody knowing where it was. Fortunate that one went over. Joseph looked prepared, but you never know sometimes with those bounces in front of net.
The Generals will get Buster Kuid some extended halftime rest with 6 minutes to play here in the first half as Treon Cahias comes in. Trey Peterson will replace Caden Zion at right back, and that right side of the field for the Generals where they were able to create so much in that first 15 or so minutes. Back into play by the Tigers. Furman will just head it back for Will Joseph. Five minutes before halftime here in Lexington. No score between Hampden-Sydney and Washington and Lee. Jenkins gets it over for Peterson. Trying to bounce one in, and Larson so steady.
Yeah, and that time Delaney came over. Didn't really get up on Peterson, but his presence there just made that cross a little bit more awkward. And you can see there that one not finding the target.
Out for a Tigers throw on the far side of the pitch. Allman, our center back partner in Jimenez. Able to tap that one through as Travis. He was fouled anyways. So as we close in on halftime, Shane, got to think both teams going to be playing extra tight defensively, not to allow a late lapse here in the end of the first half. But at the same time, if the opportunity presents itself to be aggressive offensively, might as well jump on it.
And the Tigers have done a good job of that already defensively in the last 10, 15 minutes or so. The Generals have not seemed too comfortable as they did in the first 10 minutes on offense. It seems solid on the defensive end as well, so it's really going to be about who breaks first. And as you said, no one wanted to do that or have that happen to them at the end of the first half.
Ricky Sanchez over for Cajallas, and a great defensive play from Jimenez. Using the body to make the save off the line.
And just as we were talking about, a chance showed itself. Sanchez gets that cross in. Cajallas, you could see that ball tracking into the net. But then Jimenez, as of right now, really one of the biggest play of the game for either side. Generals still have the corner here, but that's saving a sure goal.
Getting a piece of it with his leg. And Mauricio Jimenez. Corner kick from Willie Hall. Travis, too much.
Yeah, that one was on the ground right in front of the net. Good idea there, getting it out to somebody with some space. Travis trying to get some elevation on that one. Obviously, a lot of players still in the box and just gets a little bit too much on it.
Jackson Robbins after it. Earns the throw for the Tigers. Allman. Throwing it forward.
1 minute remaining in the first half. 1 minute.
Offside is Hampden-Sydney, and they'll stop that threat for HSC.
Yeah, that time it was Boyner. Just positioned himself a little bit too far forward. We've seen that a couple times on the Washington and Lee end, and now Hampden-Sydney find themselves in a similar offsides position as that clock continues to wind down. Just 30 seconds left.
Played forward by Will Joseph. Comes to the feet of Boyner. Sanchez unable to track it in. And the final few seconds come off the clock here in the first half.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Scoreless after 45 minutes today in the semifinals. Washington and Lee and Hampden-Sydney play an eventful first 45, but nobody breaks through.
Yeah, it was the physicality we certainly were expecting to see. Much of that on display. The Generals in that first half committing 9 fouls in total. And just people flying all over the field, especially in that latter half of that first half. And the one card, though, going on Hampden-Sydney, so we'll see if that factors in at any point in the second half. But both of these teams obviously came out ready to play, and it'll be really exciting to see what they're able to do in this second half, who will come away with the victory.
So we'll step aside for now. The second 45 minutes when we return. Some first half stats coming at you in a couple minutes as well. Don't go anywhere. Second half in just a matter of 15 minutes here on the Washington and Lee Sports Network.
Sports fans. We pack stadiums, arenas, and local gyms every day. And every sports fan is uniquely human. Seeing each play with your own eyes, triggering your own emotions. And as humans, we won't agree on every call, but we can act with empathy and consideration. So put yourself in the official shoes. Be more than a fan. Be officially human.
If you want to know your customers, shop where they shop. Live where they live. And spend time with them as neighbors. With over 100 local offices, Virginia Farm Bureau agents are part of your community. If you want insurance from a company that knows you, get to know us.
At NCAA Championships, noise is made here. Memories are made here. Champions win here. The only thing missing here is you. The NCAA Division III Men's and Women's Soccer Championships, coming to Salem, Virginia this December. Get your seats at ncaa.com/tickets.
Welcome back to Alston Parker Watt Field here in the campus of Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia. No score at halftime of the ODAC men's soccer semifinal between number 3 Hampden-Sydney and number 2 Washington and Lee. Ryan Connell and Shane Riley with you on the Washington and Lee Sports Network as we look at some of the halftime stats today. An eventful first 45 minutes, 10 total shots, 6 for the Generals, 4 for the Tigers, 1 shot on goal from each side, 1 save for each team, and 2 corners aside as well. Very balanced if you look at the score.
Yeah, I'd say that first half is really broken up into 2 sort of different halves in and of itself. Washington Lee dominating that first section, and then Hampden-Sydney coming back out, really pushing out of that Generals pressure and creating a lot of their own. It'll be interesting to see how the teams come out in this second half, whether or not that the Generals will be firing again, if Hampden-Sydney will take as much time as perhaps they did in that first half. I doubt it, given, how that first half went, how physical it ended up getting. But somebody's going to have to score a goal here today if they're going to want to move on, and I'll be curious to see if that happens in this second half. We saw some really good chances from both sides, and even right at the end there, Ricardo Sanchez with a good cross that was just tipped away by Mauricio Jimenez. So both of these teams really have it at their feet. It's right there for the taking. It's just going to be who capitalizes on that 1 or 2 opportunities that are crucial in this second half.
I would say this is one of 2 semifinals taking place. The other over in Lynchburg as the top-seeded Hornets host Bridgewater. 1-0 Lynchburg at the halftime break. A goal from Sean DiLorenzo in the 37th minute has Lynchburg ahead of Bridgewater. The Hornets last won the conference in 2023 when they beat the Generals here at Watt Field. They hosted the conference championship game last year, and Washington and Lee was the victors 1-0 at Lynchburg a season ago.
Yeah, and Sean DiLorenzo for Lynchburg has really been a great offensive player for them. And the game that he came on here against the Generals, he came in off the bench and was just a massive spark plug for Lynchburg in that one. So no surprise that he was able to grab that first goal for Lynchburg. And both of these teams trying to get a win here today, and in all likelihood to go face Lynchburg. Of course, that game still has its second half to be played, but we know how good that Hornet squad is.
The 2 teams breaking up after the halftime break. Hampden-Sydney will now go left to right, and Washington and Lee right to left. So each team will be shooting towards their bench here in the second 45 minutes. Generals in the first 15 minutes are a bowl in a china shop, just dictating pace, at tempo, anything. They got just about anything they wanted offensively without scoring a goal. Chance after chance after chance, just so threatening. Hampden-Sydney weathered that storm. The middle portion kind of started to take it back to Washington and Lee, and over the final 10 or 15 minutes so seemed rather balanced. And that's why we have still at level score here of no goals on either side as each team makes their way back out onto the field. The Generals, it'll still be the same starting 11. Will Joseph in goal, Apostolou, Correcchia, Furman, and Zion across the back line. The midfield of Travis Kaba, Jenkins, Seifa, and Kuig for Washington and Lee.
Yeah, a couple of the Generals just straggling behind to get back out there on the field.
And so it'll actually be Ricardo Sanchez instead of Sammy Seifa to start the second half for the Generals. And so saw Seifa draw the start. Last second starting lineup change that had Sanchez out and Jack Travis in. And Shabazz is going to give Sanchez a little bit more run here to start the second half. Seifa was very dangerous early on, and we'll certainly see him again at some point in the second half.
Yeah, for Coach Shabazz, seeing Sanchez come in and create, as I talked about earlier, that late second or late first half goal scoring opportunity. Liked what he saw there, and very reactive as a coach, putting the players in best positions, putting his team in the best position, of course, as a coach always wants to do, and making the decision that Sanchez to start the second half is the right one.
For Hampden-Sydney, looks like it's going to be the same lineup for the Tigers. Wind starting to pick up here at Watt Field. For The Tigers, Jimenez, Vole Mares, Dudley, Nova, EU, Seda, Pets, Edwards, Hallman, Johnston, Mason, and Stebbings with Stig Larson in goal. And it'll be Hampden-Sydney to kick us off here in the second half at Watt Field.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it on your screens at home, but got a bunch of leaves flying into the field. Almost looks like snow out there. That wind really starting to pick up, and probably won't be too big of a factor in this one, but probably feels good to run around out there with the wind blowing in your face.
Certainly for how the temperature was close to 60 degrees at kickoff tonight. Uncomfortably warm for the first week of November at night. It has been, I'm sure, a welcome sight for a lot of these players.
Yeah, normally you see everybody on the sidelines all bunched up in coats and doing their best to stay warm for those subs, but not really any of that. You see some of the coaches down there all bundled up, but obviously they're not getting into the game, so they got to stay warm somehow.
Cleared out for another Hampden-Sydney throw. Washington and Lee. See if they have a flurry like they did at the start of the first half. Certainly the crowd very engaged today at Watt Field for both sides. Good support for the Tigers and the Generals. Sanchez has it at his feet. Caba able to work it back for Correcchia. Correcchia going to cut one over for Caden Zion. Zion has his cross redirected back out. Hall for the chip. And Travis offside. Arson encouraging his teammates step up a bit. Coig trying to lead on Sanchez. Larson. The clearance to center. And Jack Travis can't find Nick Apostolou.
The second half getting off to a little bit more peaceful of a start for both sides than that first half. Physicality really hasn't ramped back up just quite yet. And both teams settling in to their offenses again.
Coig has it cleared away. That'll be a Washington and Lee throw. A foul against the Generals and a free kick for Hampden-Sydney close to midfield.
And that ended up being completely unnecessary. Coig didn't even get his head onto that ball anyways.
Pets goes short with it. And another throw-in that changes hands on the far side of the field. Foul coming here against Washington Lee right outside the box. Sets up a dangerous chance for Hampden-Sydney.
I didn't really see the contact there. Maybe a little bit of tugging. Really no complaints from the Generals, so obviously they knew they committed that foul.
It's right on the edge of the 18, just about. So a multiplayer wall forming here for the Generals. This one through on the ground, and it skips to Joseph. Kevin Nova Iuseda. The shot on target. Sanchez nearly overruns it. Hines Jenkins in the middle. Zion open space outside. Crossed in. And cleared away.
Yeah, that time Kuig just mistimed his jump. A good cross from Zion. Hampden-Sydney were just the first ones to it.
The Tigers get a throw. Build-up has been there time and time again for Washington and Lee. The final conversion, still not there.
That's always the toughest part about this game is you can have all the build-up, all the possession, all the passes you want. All that matters is if you get that goal, and neither side's been able to pull the cat out of the bag, if you will, so far.
Apostolou. Too much for Sanchez. And Larson gets this one into the crowd. Kuig with a long throw. Buster Kuig. Flicked on by Furman. And out for a Washington Lee corner.
The Tiger went down right in the middle of the box. Looks like that was Hallman. Trying to muscle off Furman, who is so tough to beat on those headers. Seems to always find his way to get to the ball.
And that was one of the better throws we've seen from Kuig on the long throw tonight. Put it right in the right spot. Willie Hall for the corner. Furman back post. Sent away.
Yeah, that was a good job of making it really almost impossible for Furman to get anything behind that. It looks like he got his head to it first, but Hampden-Sydney deep pressure really was just deflection more than anything, not really a shot from Furman.
Cleared away for a throw.
To wait there for a second. A student passing by threw an extra ball onto the field. Don't want to have any confusion about which ball they're playing with.
Put it back out. Someone sent it into the parking lot. He sent it right back. They're throwing for Tyler Petts. And now Washington Lee will get a throw. The second half has certainly been off to a much slower start.
Maybe that has something to do with the fact that, both of these teams know defense has been tight, scoring chances have been tight. Could come down to one play, as I mentioned, in the halftime break.
At least Kuig gets his feet to clear it into the Generals bench. Also, you have to think some of the adjustments each coach made during the halftime break. Those 15 minutes, chance to really maybe exploit some of the things that you the opposition wasn't doing well and clean up the things you thought could use some work on your end, and certainly that has been the case here in the first 10 minutes of the second half. All out for Zion. Up ahead, Kuig. Kaba. Now Jenkins for Kuig. Can't touch it home.
And that was a beautiful opportunity there. And Kuig once again finds himself right in the center of the box, and that time he had that offsides goal earlier. That time just can't connect with it. Well onsides that time around, but just unable to connect with Jenkins half a step away.
So now it's Hampden-Sydney. Goes short to Larson. Try and switch the field. Jimenez turns it over. Jenkins earns a corner.
Yeah, and just lack of attention there from Jimenez. Jenkins, you gotta love that effort from the general side. This can be the winning kinds of plays, stealing a possession. Those are the kinds of plays that win you these kinds of games.
Gets a strong sense of cheer out of the Washington and Lee faithful for the effort and hustle from Matthew Jenkins. Willie Hall. This one a little deep, and Furman can't keep it in. Seems like the wind took that one off the foot of Hall. Wind blowing from right to left here. That one really just kept on carrying.
Yeah, he really skied that one. As you said, the wind probably just took that. Furman backpedaling, attempting to make a play on it, but can't really fault him there. That one almost impossible to do anything with.
Michael Farmer in for Hampden-Sydney. He replaces Kevin Nova Iuseda.
Coach Shabazz telling his team to get back. He wants specifically Sanchez to get back. And again, showing the mentality of these teams. Getting out on the counter, but of course, got to emphasize the defense. Although we have seen a lot of opportunity, at the same time, still few and far between, and the defense really has been what's shining for both squads today.
Hampden-Sydney will use the back line. Pets more forward. Avole Mars runs into the sliding challenge of Travis.
I'm not fully sure what Washington Lee's upset about. That one pretty clearly off the foot of Travis. Maybe it took a deflection, but
that's at least what they're arguing for, but didn't seem hard to see the case from back on this side of the field. This one will earn Hampden-Sydney a corner. Be their first opportunity in the second half. So they'll send Victor Ovole Mares over into the corner. The third corner kick today for Hampden-Sydney, the first in the second half. Avole Mares popped up. And that try not close on the redirect.
yeah, that one coming off the side heel. Looks like that was Pets once again. Not really great contact as Seifa comes in for the Generals.
Cabo a little slow to come off for the Generals. So he'll exit here. Jack Delaney and Mo Wampini back in for Hampden-Sydney. all the way back down. And out for a Tigers throw.
And Correcchia and Hall, they're not on the same page, both going for it. I think Correcchia held up just a little bit, not trying to collide with Hall, but Hampden-Sydney do win possession here.
Edwards floats one in for Johnston. Johnston trying to turn the corner. And Jenkins, the shielding defense to keep the Tigers away from it.
Yeah, and both the subs that time in Delaney and Wampini had a chance. That one just trickling through, and as you said, Jenkins gets on it. But really nice move again from Johnson. He hasn't had the ball too much at his feet today, but when he's had it, he certainly made the most of his opportunities.
Joseph off his line to grab it at the top of the 18. Another throw in for Hampden-Sydney. This is where I think you'll start to see in this next 10 minutes some more of those subs that we got in a big wave at the end of the first half rotate in again here for both sides, just to try and give some of the members of the starting lineup a little bit of a rest for a potential last charge if you're going to need it at the end of regulation. If there's still no score, especially the thought of extra time on the horizon too, just trying to have people as fresh as you can.
That can be something that can be a little bit tough game planning for these coaches, whether or not you take somebody out with an expectation of some extra time. Obviously, still 28 minutes in this one, and anything can happen. But still a consideration that these coaches have to make, and we'll see what they decide to do, whether or not they stick with their guys or give them some rest.
Zion crossed in, headed away by Hallman. Zion again, far side. Jenkins sliding to the ground after it. A Washington and Lee corner.
So we got another.
Got a couple of guys down for both sides. Maybe we'll see if the clock will stop, but now the clock will stop. So Zion going to get stretched out. So too, one of the Hampden-Sydney Tigers in the middle of the field. Now each team going to come over to the bench and get some respective water here. Generals can really have a nice, almost unofficial team meeting before this corner kick. Hampden-Sydney defensively will talk over with their keeper just outside the 6-yard box as a player on each side get treated to on the field.
Yeah, for the Generals, Joseph coming all the way to the bench to get some words in with his assistant coaches. Looks like a couple of them were shouting at him, a little bit upset perhaps with a couple of the other earlier plays. Not fully sure maybe what they were saying, but just getting the chance to reiterate that to him up close and make sure that he understands the Generals' game plan.
Caden Zion up and walking his way off the field for the Generals. Trey Peterson comes in for him. A corner kick here for Washington and Lee, their 5th of the night. Set to come up from that far side as Willie Hall takes the ball with him over to take it. Hampden-Sydney, they make some changes too. Hayden Sawyer and Jackson Robbins each coming in for HSC.
And just on cue, as you said, Ryan, those same substitutions that we saw, Peterson and then Robbins and Sawyer coming into the game. And I'll be curious to see what Willie Hall does here. His last one, which we talked about, got carried away by the wind, so maybe an overcorrection here, or just a correction to keep that ball down. The wind's still blowing that same direction.
It's Hall in the corner. Hall curling it in. Loose in the box. Knocked in by Spencer Furman. And Washington and Lee jumps in front.
And just as I was mentioning, Willie Hall makes the correct adjustment on that corner. A perfectly placed ball, exactly where you want it, right in front of the net. Maybe didn't get the contact first if you're the Generals, but you just need it to be there for long enough. You can make a connection on it, have a few bad bounces, I guess, for Hampden-Sydney. You can see that ball delivered in, not really controlled by anybody, and then Furman right in the center of the box, taps it home, and Washington and Lee grab that elusive goal.
It's another big ODAC tournament goal for Spencer Furman. He had the ODAC championship winner a year ago at Lynchburg, and he has the first goal tonight in the semifinals. Just the fourth goal of his career. And two of them coming in the ODAC postseason.
Spencer Furman.
And Furman always has a way of coming up big for this Generals team, whether that be a big tackle or stop at the other end of the field, or as you just talked about, some big-time postseason goals. And now for Hampden-Sydney on the other end. The press forward going to be huge for them the rest of this one. Still 27 minutes to go. Plenty of time for them to find a goal here. But the pressure that they're going to have to put on this Generals team to find it, going to be a constant onslaught if you're the Generals.
Hampden-Sydney with a free kick close to their bench. Going to be asked to move it around a bit. Jack Delaney still searching for the right spot to put it down.
I mean, we had a few of those today where perhaps the referee not exactly directing where the ball should be. Delaney, though, able to find the spot here.
Comes back out to the Tigers' back line. Edwards inside for Johnston. Stopped by the body of Hall. Larson will exchange with Jimenez. Generals trying to push up as a team. That'll be a foul against Sanchez as another Tigers player a little slow to get back up. Ref hasn't stopped the clock yet. He's going to still keep talking.
Yeah, it looks like that might be Pets on the far side.
And now he'll stop the clock with 25-28 left.
He just tripped up by Sanchez there and perhaps just tweaked something on that one.
The training staff coming out for Hampden-Sydney. A goal for Spencer Furman, 63rd minute. As the Generals in front, he scored the first goal of the season for Washington and Lee down in Atlanta. In the second game of the year against Oglethorpe. And he has scored for the second time here in the Generals' most recent game. 2 goals last year for Washington and Lee. None bigger than that one in the conference championship game. So 2 of his 4 goals, ODAC postseason goals. Right now, the difference that has Washington and Lee in position to try and play for the conference title game for a 4th straight season.
That's why it's such a privilege to have just a big body like Furman is, a tall player that can come up for your set pieces. Every single time the Generals get a free kick or a corner, you see him sprinting up the field, and you just know that the ball's probably headed his direction, whether or not he's going to try to pass it to a teammate off the head or, as you saw there, find the goal. But despite his inconsistency with scoring, that's not his job. But when he's called upon to do it, he finds a way.
So they've moved the injured player and Pets off to the side of the field to keep getting worked on, and so that play can continue. Taha Cabo will come in for Jack Travis, who has played every second tonight up to this point.
And we can see getting a little bit of ovation here from the crowd. Travis really is always all over the field, and today much the same coming out of him.
You talk about a guy that's a postseason player. He had the goal in the quarterfinals for Washington and Lee. That ultimately was the winning one against Dickinson last year to send them to a second straight Final Four. Hampden-Sydney will be the ones to fight the wind a little bit here as they're shooting back into the breeze. So some of those crosses just dying out with pace. Old Joseph gonna put a charge into one. Robbins, talented first year. Gives it away. Kuig, too far for Seifa.
We're still seeing a little bit of struggles out of this Hampden-Sydney squad and stringing some stuff together. They have gotten the ball up into the Generals' half, but it really hasn't been a full, sustained possession in this second half for them. They've had a few corner opportunities as well, but
long ball over the top here. Blainer after it. He's battling Correcchia. And Anthony Correcchia is the one that takes a spill, with Pierce Blainer falling on top of him.
And Hampden-Sydney seemed very content with these long crosses forward. And I feel like a little bit more patience out of them might do them well. Mentioned it a lot this game, but just trying to play it out of the back, trying to work it through that midfield. We've seen the Generals be very physical, and that might be a deterrence for them, but really no reason to shy away from that, I think.
Into the middle of the field. Well, Hampden-Sydney going to try and string possession together as Jenkins with the strong tackle wins it back.
And that might be an example of why they're a little bit hesitant, but the long crosses haven't proved to be that effective either. They've broken through occasionally, but still just the 2 shots on goal. 2 shots on goal for the Generals, but they've just seemed more comfortable out there.
Kuig with the long throw. This one barrels into the box and is sent away. And a foul. We'll give it to Hampden-Sydney. And will not waste any time to play it back in. They want to get into a foot race on the back end.
Time it was Wampini who lost it and then tried to win it back there. Again, the Generals will take it away.
Into the middle for Robbins. Alba trying to knock it wide. Seifa battling there with Farmer. Jenkins for Seifa. Inside here, Kaba just wide. What a try from Taha Kaba. And the Generals inches from going up 2-0.
Just excellent build-up play, all on that one near side for the Generals. Sammy Seifa and Jenkins really got it started. And then Kaba just found some space, decided to have a crack at it. Really nice shot attempt from Kaba. Had the good spin on it, but just couldn't whip it around quite enough. Larson would have had no chance at it either way. And Hampden-Sydney, big sigh of relief there, still just down 1-0.
Now what do the Tigers have as the counter punch the other way? Washington Lee has thrown the punch to take the lead. They have followed it up with a couple of quick jabs. They have not delivered the knockout blow yet. So Will Joseph ready for the goal kick. Throw in here for Washington and Lee. Under 20 minutes to go in the second half. And the Generals have the 1-0 lead. Wayner's going to put a run into one. Joseph is there to greet it.
Yeah, that time Edwards booting it forward. Or Boyner, we've seen a couple of those looking for him up top.
Jimenez. I know. Get something built. All fights his man off it, and that'll draw Hampden-Sydney a free kick. The Tigers got a couple of substitutes ready. The time comes.
It's really been these free kick opportunities that have generated the most offense for Hampden-Sydney today. Going to get a stoppage here and perhaps a word between the center official and Coach Shabazz.
That's going to maybe be a card handed out. And it's going to be a card against the Generals head coach. So, not pleased with the center referee, and the center referee not pleased with him.
Yeah, coaches and referees never really do get along anyways, and Coach Shabazz, clearly saw it as important to sort of lay into him there. Trying to make a point, picks up the card, but at the same time, clearly he's not too upset. He's the head man. He'll take responsibility for it.
This one sent forward. Flicked on. Nobody there for Hampden-Sydney, but they will draw a goal kick here for the Generals and have a chance to make some changes. Zachy Johnston, Colin Mason, Victor Ovole Mares. 3 starters all returning for Hampden-Sydney as they need a push here in the final 18 minutes to try and find an equalizing goal.
A nice string of passes there off the free kick. Just nobody there for that last one, but Hampden-Sydney.
Peterson into space for Sanchez. Sanchez trying to do a bit too much. Jenkins can get there, but he can't keep it in.
Yeah, that ball got lost at the feet of Jenkins there. Twirling around a little bit, couldn't find it. But going back to that previous Hampden-Sydney play, again, a nice string of passes together, and that's really what they need, a lot more of that moving forward. Even if it is coming off of set pieces, if that's really the only chances they can generate, that's where they're going to have to strike, and that's what we've seen today.
The Generals throw in as Lynchburg is taking a 3-0 lead over Bridgewater in the other semifinal. The Hornets 18 minutes away from hosting the conference championship and have now a 3-0 lead. Sammy Seifa a mile offside. And they'll draw a stoppage with 17 minutes left. The Generals trying to beat the Hornets in the conference title game. This one in between defenders on the pass from Larson. Seifa able to take it back. Seifa trying to chip it forward and comes back out. All able to settle it with his head. And Hampden-Sydney can only clear it into the stands.
I mentioned this in the first half, but it's really rung true throughout the second half as well. The 50-50 balls just don't seem to be 50-50 tonight. The Generals seem to have a slight edge in that category, just a little bit more hustle perhaps, and a little bit more luck on their side as well. Saw in that previous play, Seifa didn't really expect the ball to end up with them, but it did. And the Generals, of course, will gladly take all of those, and Hampden-Sydney can only continue to try to play forward. Just not getting the luck they need right now, but that can change on a dime.
Tigers flip it for Avole Mares. Edwards in the middle for Boyner. Jenkins comes on the loose ball, and he's taken out at midfield, and the referee will go to the pocket for a yellow card. That's on number 11, Kevin Nova Iuseda. So Nova Iuseda and Avole Mares both on yellow cards for Hampden-Sydney. Sanchez gonna clear it in. Furman with his head. Back post. Punched away by Larson. Almost another great effort from Spencer Furman. Created with his head, forcing Larson to backpedal and clear it off the line.
Yeah, that one more of a lob from Furman. Perhaps a half shot, half pass, seeing what that can do. Larson able to get the fingers on it. Didn't quite get out of play. That one rolled off the foot of Jenkins on the far side, but as you said, Furman with almost some more heroics there.
Final 15 minutes of regulation here at Watt Field. Taha Kaba's got it on his feet. Kaba earns a corner.
Yeah, and you can see Kaba, after that last shot he had, eager to pull up again. Hampden-Sydney not quite caught out of position as much as the previous one. The Generals, of course, will still gladly take a corner. Obviously, that's how they got their goal in this second half.
They can utilize a little bit more time off the clock as well as we dip down to 14 minutes to play. Washington only 1, Hampden-Sydney nothing. Ricardo Sanchez over the corner kick for W&L. Sanchez back post, off the crossbar, second effort over the top. Furman on the initial touch, Jenkins the second effort. And again, the Generals still knocking.
Yeah, I thought this one might have been caught by the wind again. Sanchez's cross there, but Furman able to get the head on it. Took almost like a rebound directly to Jenkins off of the crossbar. You don't really see... Sometimes when it hits the crossbar, you have no idea where the ball is going to go, but that one right to the head of Jenkins, and he just got a little bit too much on it. Larson nowhere to be seen there.
Sanchez will just do his part to boot it down to the far corner and make Hampden-Sydney chase after it.
And if anything right now, Washington and Lee seem to be playing with a little bit more sense of urgency than Hampden-Sydney, which you'd think it would be in the inverse.
Generals know how important a second goal would be. Played forward. Met by the head of Peterson. Haba going to try just to bury it deep, and it goes out for a goal kick. Now we'll get a clock stoppage for a substitute here. It'll be Jack Travis coming in, and Sammy Seifa exiting off. 12:14 to play, and Seifa has done plenty in his part, chasing around up top to create opportunities.
And on that shot there, I think it probably will go down as a shot. I think Kaba might have been trying to catch Larson out of position. We've talked about it. He likes to be out of position there. Sanchez goes on the break.
Sanchez with the put away! Ricardo Sanchez! And Washington and Lee can feel it.
And just as I was talking about shot attempts, the Generals come out again firing off the brief stoppage there. Sanchez gets the lucky bounce and finds himself all alone one-on-one here with Larson. Goes bottom left. And Washington and Lee, you can see everybody running down to that corner, celebrating with Sanchez. They find that second goal.
Fourth goal this season for Ricardo Sanchez. A big dagger to the hopes of the Tigers. They'll have to find 2 goals in 12 minutes.
And once again, just an unfortunate bounce coming for the Tigers. That one off the back heel.
Stop it, they're going to restart it.
Of one of their defenders.
No, he's not asking for that he just did a false start, but are they going to?
Hampden-Sydney just cannot catch a break right now with all these 50-50 balls and just unfortunate touches. The Generals capitalizing on them all. First on the Furman goal, then on the Sanchez goal, as you just saw. An even bigger hill to climb now for the Tigers and Coach Denuzzo.
Ricardo Sanchez, assisted by number 11, Buster Kuig.
Will Joseph will settle the loose ball. And boot it away. Kaba. Up ahead for Jenkins. The Generals want more. And they will get another corner. Important time coming off the clock for the Tigers.
Right now they just almost look out of gas. Generals running up and down the field on them. You can see a lot of hands on knees in the box. This is really crunch time for this Tigers season. Obviously still have the chance to get the at-large bid, but
Hall into the box.
of course you want that ODAC, a chance at an ODAC championship, and still plenty of time here for the Tigers, but they're really going to have to turn it around and show us something we really haven't seen from them in this second half, which is just a few more passes strung together and a little bit more patience. It'd be so hard to stay patient at this time of the game, but it really is.
Deep clearance there for Hampden-Sydney. You talk about patience, just a one-touch clearance after possession comes to their feet.
And that's just really what we've seen. And maybe it hasn't been a clearance, but it's been a deep ball forward that maybe they get a touch on, maybe they don't, but nothing comes of it.
Kuig lost his footing, quick to hop back up and chase after it. With the pressure here on Larson. Under 10 minutes to go. Washington in lead 2. Hampden-Sydney none. Nick Apostolou. Kuig for Kaba. And that one blocked the whole way. Hallman holding his ground. And now Apostolou chasing back. Takes him down.
And maybe the start of something here for Hampden-Sydney. Hallman, a big stop defensively right at the feet of Kaba and then drawing the foul here. Looks like they're going to go long with it, but maybe they can get something here.
This one comes to Zachy Johnston. And Willie Hall can dispel a danger. Cabo playing it into space, and we're going to see another card here. The referee's going to dip back into the pocket. So that's going to go against Hampden-Sydney, their third card of the night. Goes to Michael Farmer on the yellow. And out it goes for a Hampden-Sydney throw-in.
Something that has been there today for Hampden-Sydney when they've moved it up into the Generals half is switching the field. A lot of time that far side is open. There just really hasn't been enough possession for them to really utilize that.
The clock will stop for a substitution for Washington. It'll be Sammy Seifa coming back in for Buster Kuig. And Kuig has been chasing tirelessly at the top of the formation all night for the Generals. Another one booted out of play by the Tigers. The Generals throw. Apostolou's got time. It's the Generals with the 2-0 lead and possession here in the final 8 or so minutes. That one through for Johnston, and he's offside. Got to take the gamble there if you're Zachy Johnston. It's just too much.
And we're going to need to see a lot more of that from Hampden-Sydney. Really the only breakaway opportunity that they've had, just a tad bit offside there. But the Generals defender, a couple of them got a little tripped up there. Haven't seen too much of that tonight, but as the wear and tear continues to build for both of these teams.
Comes to the Generals in the box, Sanchez! And offside was Seifa, who touched it first. Generals coaching staff have to be ecstatic about the effort they've gotten from their forwards tonight. They have made life difficult for the Hampden-Sydney back line.
Just relentless pressure, relentless really effort from the Generals side and Generals forwards. They've really made this one, not to say look easy, but certainly, as you said, have made life hard on the other side of the field.
Sanchez got tripped up there, and center official originally put it in favor of Hampden-Sydney, and it seemed like everyone who got out up from the ground, even for Hampden-Sydney, was surprised and quickly apologized. He pointed the wrong direction. 6.5 minutes to go. Generals 2, Tigers 0. And Correcchia just punts one the other way. Alston sends the response back down. Hallman. It's tripped up by Seifa. Alston waiting for his team to really get forward. They're running out of time. Sanchez first with the head. Seifa in pursuit on Hallman. Delicate work. Travis. Ahead for Trey Peterson. Peterson. Just looking for somebody on the receiving end. Sanchez first there. Kaba for Hall, and now Apostolou. The Generals possessing in the Hampden-Sydney end. Clear it out for a throw. That'll stop the clock with 4:55 left. It's Kaba going to need to get stretched out.
Cabo cramping a little bit in that first half as well. That saw him get subbed out. Probably going to be in the same situation here. Just a commendable effort from this General side. Everybody all over the field flying and making life hard for the Tigers all throughout this game. They came out punching. Tigers punched back, but the Generals in this second half have really found their groove. Hampden-Sydney at this point almost feels like they'll need a miracle to come back, but stranger things have happened.
Makaba comes off. Caden Zion in. So 4:55 left to throw in for the Generals, and already with possession deep in the end, just trying to keep it there. Up, headed by Apostolou. Safe of first to the ball. Room for Hall. Seifa. Gonna work towards goal line. And Kuig redirects it, just not on target.
Looks like Kaba almost stepped onto the field from the bench. Kind of a weird play there. The ball had gone out of play, and actually he might pick up the card here for that.
He will. So Taha Kaba issued a yellow card on the bench.
And Coach Shabazz giving him the shoulder shrug there, just a mental lapse. And Kaba not on a card, anything from previous games, but you don't want to stack too many of those up. Going to get the suspension if you do. And obviously Kaba, an important player for this team as well, so just a mental lapse that time.
More importantly, it gives the ball right back to the Tigers, too, because that ball was rolling out of play in favor of Washington and Lee. The Generals will quickly clear it back down. All the way down, Seifa in pursuit. Larson letting it get to his feet. And oof, just had to try and get it past one defender, and was playing with fire.
Yeah, Seifa looked like he kind of held up a little bit there. I'm not fully sure why. A complete and utter right to go after that ball.
Precious seconds still ticking off the clock here for the Tigers, closing in on 3 minutes to play. Trying to feed it through is Seifa, and the Generals will get another corner kick.
And once again, that clock keeps on ticking.
Lynchburg is up 3-0 with 2 minutes left. Washington and Lee up 2-0 with 2.5 minutes left. Potentially on another collision course for a conference title. Hall with the ball in, and Larson grabs it with both hands. What a boot there from Larson. Furman and Johnston battle for it. Hampden-Sydney gets the throw.
That's a really good effort there from Johnston. He was all alone. From Larson, I was about to say, it's just the epitome of Hampden-Sydney's night is sort of putting the ball where no one is, but Johnston, strong job to win the ball there.
Jenkins for Seifa. Generals trying to play it through. Sanchez running onto it. Sanchez with space. Ricardo Sanchez wide.
Some fans here in the crowd, a little overzealous, that one going into the side net. Sometimes it looks like it sneaks in. Sanchez almost had another breakaway goal there for himself. Just not quite able to whip it around.
1 minute remaining in the second half. 1 minute.
So the final minute, and that one cleared off a player, and right to the ground goes Spencer Furman as that one clocked him right in the side of the head.
Yeah, you just hate to see that one at any point in the game. Those clearances are really tough to get out of the way.
So he gets looked at on the ground for the Generals, and with 52.4 seconds left, the only thing separating Washington and Lee in a fourth straight trip to the conference championship game will have to come off, and Isaac Arrowwood, who has not played all night, slides in at center back in the 90th minute. Bring the true freshman in for the center back duties in the 90th minute.
Well, he's had plenty of experience this season, and obviously Coach Shabazz just telling him, ball comes to you, dump it as far away from your own net as you possibly can.
Wayner's going to come in. Number 3, Trujillo, going to come off. Ole Mares with what can be something here for the Tigers. Ole Mares cleared out. At some feet. Shot blocked. Jenkins helps to play it away. Jenkins with real estate. Matthew Jenkins in a foot race. Jenkins stopped by Larson. And Seifa trying to get after it. Just 20 seconds left. And Apostolou trying to take down Wampini, unsuccessful.
Yeah, he ended up taking it down himself there.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Washington and Lee on to the conference championship game for a fourth straight game.
That concludes our second
The Generals play on again into November.
Sydney 0.
A 2-0 win.
Seems like some extracurriculars right at the end of the game there.
Zion very much got bumped into when he went to try and play that final ball and got knocked to the ground and was slow to get up. And so that was right in front of the Generals bench. They were not happy about it.
Yeah, the referee, a lot to pay attention to right at the end of that game, so can't necessarily fault him for missing that. But he does have his assistants on the side there, perhaps not giving the call just because they thought the game was over. But still, of course, matters out there. You hate to see anybody go down at any point in the game. Of course, Washington and Lee incredibly happy to come away with a 2-0 victory. The 0-0 start in that first half, but the Generals really took control of the game in that second half. The goals coming from Furman and Sanchez, and it was really a wire-to-wire second half for the Generals of just complete dominance, made Hampden-Sydney just really uncomfortable out there, and that proved to be the difference. Hampden-Sydney just couldn't get it going, couldn't find their offense in that second half.
It was clinical work from Washington only in the second 45. Plenty to be excited about for the Generals. 2 goals, one from Spencer Furman, the other from Ricardo Sanchez. But a commanding 45 minutes in which Hampden-Sydney really never had much of a scoring opportunity in that second half, and especially after the Generals took the lead as well.
Yeah, Washington and Lee just defensively made it look really easy out there. They didn't really have a lot of chances, as we just talked about, just 2 shots on goal that they faced, and that was the case in the first half as well. So Hampden-Sydney just could not string it together. We talked about plenty of points throughout that game, a little bit of impatience, just maybe not making the quite right pass and just not really getting to some of those balls that the Generals were overly keen to just take and take away and keep taking away. And that proved to be the difference.
So it'll be a third straight year Lynchburg and Washington and Lee have met in the conference championship game. Generals will make the trip to Lynchburg on Saturday. Anticipation would be the Hornets would like that to be a night game under the lights at Schellenberger Field, just like it was a season ago. The good news, the road team has won each of the first 2 meetings, so that's good news if you're Washington and Lee. Yes, you got to go on the road for the conference title game, but perhaps that's a good thing. When I was here 2 years ago, Lynchburg lost to Washington and Lee in the regular season and then won the conference championship here at Watt Field. And then last year in the regular season, they played to a tie. The Generals won the rematch at Schellenberger, and then in the regular season, Washington and Lee's last loss to Lynchburg 2 weekends ago here at home, 2-0. And then they could respond with a win at Lynchburg in the conference championship game. The streak lives on, and it will now be a 12th consecutive season that either Lynchburg or Washington and Lee will hoist the ODAC trophy in men's soccer. And for the Generals, a big win here today over a Hampden-Sydney team to help their at-large considerations for the NCAA tournament as well, advancing through to the conference championship game.
We have, of course, a ranked win today coming here against Hampden-Sydney, who are ranked number 23 coming into this one, and just a really solid performance, too, that just bodes well for them going forward into that matchup against Lynchburg. The Generals kind of got outplayed in that first game this season, the 2-0 victory in favor of the Hornets in that one. And the Generals, much like Hampden-Sydney today, just really struggled to find their footing in that one. But after the effort that you've seen today, you know that they have the momentum going into it, and you know that they have the squad, as we know that they do just about every single season these last few years. It's going to be a great game over there in Lynchburg, and not much to separate those 2 teams. We'll see what they can do on Saturday.
And for Hampden-Sydney on the other side of the picture, their season's over in the ODAC tournament, but they are safely in the NCAA tournament field. Number 15 in the National Power Index, and if you don't know how that works, is that there are a 64-team bracket to fill. They will take the automatic qualifiers, and they will go down the list of the MPI and then pick the next teams remaining. And so the projected cut line is right around 40. Hampden-Sydney sitting at 15. Even if they drop a few spots, we'll go down a few spots, and we'll make a trip to the NCAA tournament for the first time ever. And certainly a big thing for head coach Tommy Denuzzo, even if the loss here today dropped to 13-3-2. But we'll be playing extra soccer here into November as well, coming up when they find out where they stand come Monday afternoon.
Yeah, and despite perhaps not the best effort tonight, obviously Coach Denuzzo going to have them ready for whoever they might have to face in that first-round matchup in the NCAA tournament. They'll have a little bit of an extended rest, gets a chance maybe to get some of your players a little bit healthier. Obviously, this point of the season, you can have so many bangs, nicks, whatever you want to call them, that maybe you don't sit out the game for, but you're still feeling it when you're out there. Maybe the extra rest. Some teams say they like it, some teams say they don't. We'll see how it plays out for Hampden-Sydney, but as you said, firmly in the NCAA tournament. I'm just going to have to see who they're going to have to go play up against when those at-large bids come out.
And for Washington and Lee, they enter the night 32nd in the MPI. A win today only moves you up against a nationally ranked opponent, and a team up ranked higher than you in the MPI as well. So that'll improve the Generals' chances, and really perhaps outside of a lopsided blowout they seem almost safely in the field as well if you were going to project things out, unless almost every other conference tournament didn't go the way it was expected to go, which there will be bound to be a couple bid stealers, but you can't think that every single projected 1 seed will lose come this weekend in their conference tournament. So perhaps they're safely in the field, and it could be really a 3-bid conference this year, the Old Dominion Athletic Conference, with the 3 at the top in Lynchburg, Washington and Lee, and Hampden-Sydney, because the Hornets of Lynchburg are in the top 10 in the APA. They rank 8th entering the night, so they're safely in regardless of the outcome on Saturday as well.
And you got to love that for the ODAC, just continuing to build talent year after year. And Hampden-Sydney this season, of course, not to say they're the newcomers on the field, but certainly a very solid season for them. And obviously we know Washington and Lee and Lynchburg, you just talked about it, they're always there right at the top. They're always competing for that ODAC championship, and it seems always finding themselves in the NCAA tournament come November.
So that'll wrap it up for us here on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Washington and Lee advances on to Saturday's ODAC Championship. They will play for a conference title for a 4th consecutive season as they look for their 3rd title in 4 years. When they will go to Lynchburg to take on the top-seeded Hornets. They improve to 11-3-5 with the win and 7-1-3 here at Watt Field this season. Hampden-Sydney drops to 13-3-2 and 4-2-2 on the road this season. They will find out where they head come Monday when the selection show comes out and the bracket is released for the NCAA tournament. Tigers projecting to be safely into the field for the first time in program history. Washington and Lee, we'll see how they fare after Saturday's game against Lynchburg as well. The heroes today, Spencer Furman, the go-ahead goal in the 63rd. Ricardo Sanchez, the insurance in the 78th, sends Washington and Lee through to the ODAC Championship for a 4th straight season. For all of us at the Washington and Lee Sports Network, for Shane Riley, I'm Ryan Connell saying thanks so much for joining us and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. We'll see you Saturday for the conference championship game.